But yeah, and hairs, witches would often turn into hares, and they could do some of the things like get into the crops and steal milk from your animals and things like
that. Who's that corner?
Hi, for Anya. I never would have guessed that this is like your first movie. Really, it was like fantastic. But I was wondering. So now, no problem. I was wondering what your plans are now beyond this. Like, did you like enjoy this process? Are you going to continue with this, or?
Question is, what are your plans next after this movie?
No, I hated working on this movie.
Going to Disney.
Every day. No, you know what? And like, this isn't even me being weird because we're obviously here promoting this movie, but this was, I hadn't read that many scripts before I read this one, and this one kind of gave me this feeling that I didn't know how to, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand like what was happening in my like physical body, that I was so nervous to go in, and I, was like, everything was kind of lost a little bit for me, and I'm going to be chasing that feeling with scripts for the rest of my life, because I realized that feeling kind of means that it's something that I'm compelled to tell, and that's so frightening to think about, because obviously as an actor, like, you're more than likely not going to get the job than get the job, and so like you're a little bit nervous to attach yourself like that, but when something kind of calls you in that way and you feel like, oh, not only do I feel like this is for me, I feel like I could do it, and I could tell the story right according to the character, like that's just what I'm chasing, and I just, you know what, like The Witch, to be your first movie is so intense because it's, it's such incredible work, and more than that, it's just so unbelievable to perform, so it's at a very high standard that I care about my profession too much to kind of go below that now, so I'm just going to try to keep hitting The Witch, essentially.
Up there?
Hi. I was just wondering, in that final scene where you go from like being all alone to going and talking to the goat and going the devil, what do you feel was the motivation for your characters to do that?
It's a question about how you perceive the motivation of your character in the end. Joining that.
Thank you. Okay, so Rob and I have talked a lot about this, and even though we're the people that made the movie, and obviously like I am that character, and so I clearly feel what I believe is her motivation, it's so important and it's so special that you guys bring your own interpretations to it. Like, you guys can think whatever you want to think about, why Thomasin did what she did, and make it personal, and it's completely valid, and it's no more valid than what I think. If you really want me to tell you what I think, I mean, Thomasin's got no options, man. Like, what is she gonna do? Go back to live in her, isolated home with all of her dead family? Like, that would be pretty bleak. I don't think she can really call an Uber and like go back to the plantation. So, to me, it's really interesting. Actually, we went to we went to Spain, and everyone in Spain thought the ending was so sad and horrible and dark and all of these things, and I really see it as a liberation and a really happy ending, because Thomasin's not fit into her society, her family, her anything, and all of a sudden she's finally like, you know what, fuck it, like, let's go be a witch and let's just be free and fly, kind of thing.
Over here.
I was wondering, did you know from the beginning that you wanted to tell this type of story through the lens of a horror film, or do you even see this as a horror film?
Do you see this as a horror film? Is that always the way you knew you wanted to tell the story as a horror film? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wanted to make a horror film because I felt like no one wanted to make any film I ever wanted to make ever, and if I could do something in a genre, then maybe someone would please maybe give me some money. But now that it's been made, people are like, this is not a horror film. This is a psychological thriller with supernatural elements. And that means, I'm not saying this is like that standard, but that means Poe and Lovecraft like isn't horror or whatever, because they don't have a lot of like they don't suck. I don't know, you know. And so I don't like whatever. A rose by any other name, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care. For me though, like what interests me about horror, or is actually horrifying, is like what's horrifying in human nature, and like and looking at the darkness inside humanity instead of shining a flashlight on it quickly and running away giggling. You know, like that's what I'm interested in. And actually, if there's a genre that this feels the most like, to me, it's actually a fairy tale, and not a folk tale as it's been subtitled, but really a fairy tale. It has like the great pre-Disney fairy tales. You know, I tried my damnedest to explore, complicated family dynamics, which the good fairy tales sort of do unconsciously.
Right here.
How much of, obviously religion is a big aspect of it, how much of that was just convenience with using the witch, and how much of it was really you wanted to kill someone?
I mean, you're just like asking about whatever. You're asking about religion in the film, and here's the thing, like there was no like how much religion, how much this, how much that. It's like this. I was really as I mentioned before, like I'm trying to like do my best to recreate my best understanding of how like this kind of English Puritan Calvinist family would behave. In fact, like there's probably not enough praying. You know, and I am actually really happy because we did screen for some historians, and they felt that like the Puritan mindset was extremely accurate, and that was the thing that kind of most impressed them. So that made me feel like proud in a way I haven't felt proud of anything ever. I think it's interesting. Religious hysteria. And witches being real, they aren't like mutually exclusive. I mean, like if you take Salem for example, like everyone believed that witches were real in Salem. But they realized that these women, that many of these women and men that they accused were not actually witches. Didn't mean the witches didn't exist. The religious hysteria existed. Didn't mean witches didn't exist. But they just discovered that those particular people were witches,
But it would be fair to say, though, that people of that era, religion was much more pervasive than it is to the modern era.
Every single thing you did, every single action ever was imbued with like sacred significance, and you found the symbolism in everything. I mean, one of the things that I really got to love about these Puritans is their rigor. I mean, like, their Puritans are known for not really liking art, but from like a postmodern hipster-ass perspective, it's like they don't need art because their lives are works of art. Like what we get out of art, like they're getting out of wiping their butts. I mean, it's insane.
But sort of similar to the difference. Similar to the difference in. That's okay. Similar to the difference in language, though, did you struggle a little bit with kind of portraying an accurate portrayal of what religion is, but still a modern audience understanding that that's not crazy, that's how it was?
Well, it took me some time to wrap my mind around how Calvinism and predestination can be like a hopeful thing. But reading diaries and journals, like really getting into people's private thoughts, like these are human beings just like us, and I can easily love them and empathize. I think the other key is that like we see the film through the eyes of the children primarily, and they're still trying to figure this world out. So as we are as an audience, I mean Anya particularly, or Thomas. Particularly, it does not compute, so.
I have time for a couple more. Who's got a really good one? All right, you seem to believe a lot in your question. the question is, how much of the pacing of the film was predetermined, and how much of it came more in the editing?
Yeah, I mean, it was super duper planned. I mean, really rigorously planned. This thing was nearly cut in camera, and there's almost no shots on the cutting room floor aside from one of Anya milking a goat very poorly.
Very terribly. I didn't do it that day. My hand was like, no.
But the first cut of the film, the first assembly was 97 minutes, and the film is 92 minutes. So yeah. Though Louise Ford, the editor, did an incredible job, and let me tell you, like working with something kind of camera is not easy.
Last question. You with your hand really far up. You.
I thought the music was really common in creating atmosphere and a whole other thing. Almost as if it was a character in and of itself. What sort of inspired you to take that sort of direction?
All right, so the comment is that the music is almost a character in itself, and what inspired you to take that direction?
Music is always the last question of every Q&A. Originally I didn't want any music because I like really boring movies instead of music. But I realized that I was trying to articulate emotional states that are so extreme that like music was the only way I could ever possibly hope to try to do that. Dissonant 20th century music, classical music, kind of was able to go somewhere orally that had we haven't surpassed it, and it was very new. And so this film, I wanted it to use 17th century psalms that would have been sung a cappella, by this family, and play them with a string ensemble, and then those would kind of turn into these crazy dissonant 20th century things, also played with period instruments. And that's kind of what I pitched to Mark Corbin, the composer, who took it much further. He knew a lot more interesting period instruments and knew how to play them. And so the score became much more textured, and he also was very insistent on vocals, which of course was super crucial. And thankfully, it moved the Anya because of Mark Corbin. I like that there are these moments where like the diegetic sound disappears, and it's just music and image, and that's it. And I like those parts a lot.
Do one last question. It's important.
Oh, okay, I guess we've got one last question.
How was it working with the kids? I mean, are they scarred for life now?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's like when you're abusing children psychologically. No.
He's joking, but genuinely. So after we screened at Sundance for the first time, I got like literally pushed up against a wall by these two women being like, "How could you do that to the kids?" And I was like, "We made a movie." Like,
so basically, for the adult actors and for Anya, we were going to these like really dark psychological places. But for the children, it was more like puppeteering, dance choreography, Rossanian mannequin acting. They had a Disneyfied idea of what the story was. They really didn't know. If you take a 6-year-old, you say, "Hey, Lucas, okay, open your mouth a little bit. Don't blink. Now breathe. Breathe a little faster. Breathe a little faster. Breathe a little faster. Breathe a little faster." And now you cut before he laughs. You put a witch on the other side. And you listen to the friend.
So the Witch opens everywhere this Friday, so please tell everyone you know to go see it. Now, I recommend you go see it at the Somerville or the Coolidge, but you're welcome to go see it anywhere else, and tell all your friends to do the same. Give a big round of applause for Anya.